Hey everyone, welcome back to another Bullet Train Devlog. This week it will again be mainly about the game. So, as always, I will talk about what I did this week and also then my next steps for next week. The main thing I worked on this week was what I discussed last week in more detail, that there should be a general path through this 3-lane structure of the game. To focus on this, I for now got rid of all the towers with turrets and other weapons on them, but they will come back at some point. However, I already see positive impact on the way how I play the game. I still need to confirm that in playtests. It is now possible to really play the game without slowing down, which was always kind of my intention. There is now a somewhat clearly visible path throughout that whole level. This path was done in the way I outlined last week. At first we generate a path through that whole 3-lane structure that the train can jump through. Then we generate environment objects, which are for now these stone piles and the small logs, which you can jump over. These things you cannot harm with your turrets and guns. These are things you need to actively avoid, and they will just damage you. My plan is to, of course, have way more of these environmental obstacles, but these are now the obstacles I started with. After these obstacles are generated, I place all the different towers throughout the level. Currently, they are only off the chosen path, but there again, that can change with balancing. In general, one thing that I have not tackled too much for now is also the difficulty adjustments, especially how many towers will spawn the further you get. This is something I then want to also look into next week. After the towers were placed, I spawned these scattered scrap segments on the path. These should be an incentive to follow the path and move lanes, even if it is maybe not strictly necessary. The next level, which is currently not visible, would then be towers with guns again applied to them. I don't have that in currently because that is still being worked on. How many towers with weapons should be in the game, and especially at what difficulty level, it is still quite hard for me to say with the balancing. Another thing I worked on last week, apart from this whole new placement strategy for the tower, is continuing after the first boss. Currently, you would have always returned to the town, but in the end, I always envisioned that these train bosses are only mid-bosses, and after continuing multiple times further, you will then get to the true final boss for each area. In light of this further continuation after the boss, I also adjusted quite a bit how I start into the current gameplay level. That is more purely on the code side, but I'm now able to define multiple areas I want to start into, and also which towers or environmental challenges or environment and level they will have. So kinda did some groundwork for multiple more levels, but I haven't started on any of them yet. As final point that I worked on this week are 2 new orbs. One is a general damage increase orb and the other a projectile speed orb. Very quick to do, but still I think an interesting addition to the game. And with this I will also already come to my plans for next week. As I already hinted to, I will still continue working on this path system, especially refining balancing aspects and work on some missing features like the weapons on the towers. After that, my main focus will be on how to have continually interesting interactions in higher difficulty zones, especially the progression after the first boss. This will have new environmental challenges and very likely also new enemy types. So I'm really looking forward to start work on them. As last point, I will likely continue to bring in new orbs, but with that was already it for this week. So as always, if you have questions or some suggestions or general ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments. See you, bye.